Welcome everybody to meet my friends. My guest today is Stormie Andrews. He is my guest number 15, so you can start identifying Stormie with number 15. Welcome.
Hey, glad to be here, and I'm glad to be number 15.
I don't know if it's related to anything that is important to you. So when I had Dara, I gave her number 12, and she said she was born on the 12, and she loves the number 12. So.
Oh, really? Well, I'm going to make 15 mean something to me. It hasn't up until this point, but now I'm going to refer to myself out in the world, number 15. Nice to be.
I study numerology, so the number one is for leaders and beginnings, and the number five is for changes. So, but when
Oh,
you combine the two, it's harmony. So one and five is six, and it makes harmony, and it's also related to family-oriented people. So.
nice. Well, then I'll definitely take it.
All right. Tell us a little bit about you. Well, before you said that, I want to tell people where I met you. So I met you at National Speakers Association. And I see you there, you always have this big smile and very kind of people. So it's like when people is talking to you, they're happy. So tell us about you and why are you so happy?
Uh-oh. Now you put me on the spot. I don't know about that one, but yeah, so a little bit about myself, I guess. Man, I don't know where to start, Maria. I mean, I can go back like I was born in this hospital. I don't think you want me to go back that far, right?
Well, it's up to you.
So, I live in Las Vegas, and that's where Maria and I met. We met at the National Speakers Association chapter here in Las Vegas. And I've actually been in Las Vegas since 1993 is when I relocated here. And just I'm losing my mind here because I'm like, man, there's so much to talk about. I don't know where to go. But about 10 years ago, I started a company called Yoka Local, and it's an internet marketing agency. It's one of the largest marketing agencies in the entire state of Nevada. And then just this year, I was able to come out with my book, The World's Best Buyer Persona System, which I'm super excited about because it's all about creating the world's best buyer persona. And you might be asking, what is that? And I'll probably get into that later on in this interview because right now it's like more about me, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I just became a grandfather this year. I've got a little three, or not this year, a few years ago. She's 3, but I've got this incredible granddaughter that likes to hang out with me, and she calls me Pom Pot, and we fight every time I buy something. She takes it from me, and we fight for it. And for some reason, I keep losing all the fights. So I don't know what's going on there, but I put up the best fight that I can. But yeah, I mean, so that's a little bit about me. Just came with my book this year, like I mentioned. I started a business back in 2010, and then prior to that, before starting a business, something that's pretty interesting. I came up through the consumer electronics and then the home building world. So when I moved to Las Vegas in 1993, I went to work for Circuit City, and selling TVs and DVDs and VCR. Well, DVDs weren't around then, so TVs and VCRs, and eventually got into the home building industry. When I was in the home building industry, got into management where I became a sales manager, then eventually worked my way up to director of sales and marketing for a home builder, then became a vice president of a mortgage banking company before venturing off and starting Yoka Local. So lots of experience on the sales side. So even though I have a marketing company, I had a very, very successful career in sales. And it was interesting because when I was in sales, I always had this entrepreneurial spirit, right? Where like, I'm going to start a business, but like every business I would start would just fail miserably. I would start a business and it would fail miserably. And I would start the next business and guess what? It would fail miserably, just like the ones that came before it. And it was over and over again. I'm like, what gives? Because I had such a successful sales career. Even when I was selling consumer electronics, I'm making a six figures in commission selling TVs and DVDs. Are you kidding me? So I'm like, man, this is coming easy. I can go start a business. And I would suck at it. So eventually I decided that there were some skill sets that I was missing. I'm like, you know what, Stormie, you can't be this bad. There's just some skill sets that you're missing. Yeah, you're a pretty good salesperson, but when it comes to the business side of business, you suck at it. So at that point in my career, I decided to take a few steps backwards. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into management because maybe if I go into management, I can learn the business side of business. And so when I got in the home building industry, I went into management, and then I'm introduced to, you know, performas and budgets, and I was so blessed when I went into the home building industry, because I worked for a private home builder, and we had multiple communities throughout the Vegas Valley, and each community had its own partnership, basically, with a different set of investors. So when I was thrown into this, or not thrown, but when I was thrust into this position, I instantly found myself in this scenario where I'm managing the you know, the bank accounts, the marketing budgets, the sales budgets. I mean, all these crazy budgets for not just one organization, but for multiple organizations simultaneously. So it was one of those things, trial by fire. I'm lucky I made it through it, but it gave me the knowledge that I needed. After several years of doing that, I was able to pick up the knowledge that I needed to start my own business and not have it fail miserably like the other one. So that's me in a nutshell. Hopefully I didn't go too far off the reservation, which I tend to do, but that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I allow you to record, and the reason why is because I have lost the video other times, or it's just, you know, quality sometimes is not the best. So just to compare it, and I just don't want to miss your interview.
Okay, well, I'm recording now too, so there we go.
Thank you. Okay, so if in case we missed it, if any technical difficulty happens, which happened in the past, Stormie just tell a little bit about himself. Now he's gonna tell you about how did he discover the system, the best buyer persona, and how does it work, so we can understand it.
So now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. This is how we get into the system. So, and I've got to go back to my childhood, because this is where it really started. And this is one of the reasons when it comes to building a buyer persona. And you may be asking right now, like, what's a buyer persona? So buyer persona is essentially a fictional representation of your ideal customer. So if you can close your eyes and imagine, who would your ideal customer be? Like, what would their mannerisms be, their personality, you know, all this other stuff. Think of your very favorite, bestest customer in the world. If you could get more of those, how valuable would that be to you, right? Pretty darn valuable, because we've all dealt with the customers that you're like, man, if I don't get another one of these, that would be too soon, right? You've been there. I know it. I've been there, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with those folks. I like dealing with people that are like me, cool, fun people. Well, at least I like to think I'm cool. So let's just go with fun people, right? So, but I just want to share with you why I feel that I'm uniquely qualified for claiming something to be the world's best buyer persona, because I've been doing this probably longer than anyone on the planet. You see, I started building the world's best buyer persona system, or I'm not going to say building it. I started building the experiences for the world's best buyer persona system when I was in second grade. And I know what you're saying, second grade, come on, dude. Who are you, Doogie Howser? You didn't start doing nothing at second grade. So I'm like, hold up, let me back up and give you the story. You see, my dad worked for the government, and we had to follow this particular ship around the country. So when this ship would go to different ports, my dad was the guy that would work with the various subcontractors that worked on different elements of the ship. Now, because of that, the ship would move around the country frequently, because different ports would have different contractors that worked on different elements of the ship. So for instance, maybe in Pascagoula, Mississippi, they worked in the propulsion system, and up in the Bay Area, they worked on, you know, the navigation system, and in the East Coast, they worked on something else. So the point that I wanted to make is that it wasn't until my junior and senior year in high school that I experienced what it's like to attend the same school 2 years in a row. Up until that point, I didn't know what that experience was. I'm moving a lot, sometimes multiple times during the same school year. Now, with that being said, when we move to these different communities, and let me just tell you something, East Coast is different than West Coast, and down South is different than everything. So I'll leave that as that. But we would move, and every time we would move, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to leave my friends, and I'm a social creature, so I wanted to meet new friends, and I had to learn how to meet people relatively quickly, right? Because we're moving into these new communities. Now, the other side of the coin, some of the communities we moved into, you would consider to be your suburban communities, right? Slightly upscale communities, suburban, but some of the communities we moved into were like inner city. I mean, deep inner city, you know, more of the urban communities. So I had to figure out how to mesh into a wide variety of these communities with a wide variety of individuals from a varied socio-economic backgrounds. But here's another thing. So for those of you that are looking at video, you may be looking at me right now and say, I wonder what nationality that guy is. Well, let me give you that story too, because this is part of the equation. So my mom, my biological mom, she's black. My biological dad is white, but my dad who raised me, he's black. So most of my life, I just thought I was a light-skinned black dude because I knew nothing about my biological dad. I'm just, hey, I'm a black dude that just looks like a white dude. So, that's just me. And we moved into these different communities where I had to mesh into communities that were, like I said, a wide variety of backgrounds and races and religions. I got pretty good at it, which is probably why I had such a good sales career. And what I discovered is that and I didn't really discover this until I got my formal education to really understand why is it I'm doing what I'm doing. But as a youngster, I was doing it primarily for survival. If I was in one group, I knew how to act and communicate and carry certain mannerisms that was complementary to that group. The same thing to other groups. So I became this chameleon. Even when I mentioned that I was in high school, my junior and senior year, I was one of those rare characters. So let's go back to your high school days, because there was all these different cliques in high school. Did you have cliques in your high school, Maria?
I did, yes.
Right, so there was cliques, right? You had the jocks, then you had the socias, then you had the stoners and the rockers. You just had all these different cliques. Well, I'm this dude that's just bouncing over from clique to clique to clique to clique, and all of the cliques felt that I was part of their tribe. I was welcome. I was accepted. And many of these cliques were like diametrically opposed to the other cliques. And I'm just moving around because that was my scenario. And then when we moved down south to Mississippi, was a strange scenario, because in Mississippi it was very, very segregated. So during the recess times, the black kids would go in one direction, the white kids would go in another direction, and I'm sitting there. They've never seen anything like me, because there was no such thing as biracial kids and a black dude looking like a white dude. I mean, it was weird. So I had to navigate these crazy crazy situations. As a matter of fact, if you buy my book, The World's Best Buyer Persona System, the introduction, I share a story where I am recruited to go to a white supremacist meeting. Think about that for a second. A black dude being invited to go to a white supremacy meeting. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, maybe I should call my mom. Maybe she'll want to come with me. I don't know. But I share that story because it's a fun story. So I started this early on. And like I said, I didn't know why I don't want to say different, but I don't know why I was able to do things that other people couldn't do, because it was just natural for me, being able to move flawlessly between different groups. When I had my sales career, I could have a billionaire walk in the door one day, and then I could have someone who was just released out of prison for a double homicide, the next day, and I was able to communicate with both of those groups. And what I had determined is that people like people that are like themselves, right? So with the World's Best Buyer Persona, it's a process that I formally started working on shortly after we started Yoka Local. So it's probably 7-8 years ago is when I formally started working on the process. And that process was, how do we make digital assets communicate better? Now, I'm going to back up a little bit further, if that's okay, Maria. I'm sorry. So before the world of the internet, I got a chance to co-author a book. It's called Power of the Platform: Speakers on Success. And I actually won an award because it was the best anthology of that year. But I was able to co-author this book with Jack Canfield. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Brian Tracy. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Les Brown. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yes.
So kind of cool. My very first book that I participated in, I'm co-authoring with some pretty awesome people. And my chapter of the book was about effective communication techniques. You see, I've been a pretty good communicator my life out of necessity versus, just someone who's gone through a few classes. I lived it. And that book won me a book award. But so I started traveling around the country, and I'm speaking on effective communication techniques. And it wasn't about effective communication techniques where using a proper pronunciation. No, none of that crap. It's about communicating in a way that is complimentary and beneficial to the person that you're communicating with. How do you do that? Because it's not about you, it's about them. So in this scenario, it's about you, Maria. It's not about me. It's about your guests. It's not about me. And I hope they haven't tuned off by now, because like, this guy won't shut up. But if you don't like it, get out because you're not one of my personas. But if you do like it, then you're with me, right? You're my tribe. You're my peoples. So, um, I would train people in effective communication techniques. Well, then this digital thing starts taking over websites. And I'm like, how do we make websites better communicators? Because quite frankly, most websites suck at it. They give a lot of facts and information, but they're not inspiring. There's nothing about the messaging on the website that makes you want to say, ooh, I want to do business with this organization. So that's where I started down this path of the world's best buyer persona. How can we take a website or a digital asset? How can we turn that into one heck of a salesperson, one awesome customer service person, one awesome spokesperson for that particular organization? Well, we can't do it if we don't train that that digital device to be a better communicator. So, I had different iterations of the world's best buyer persona. When I was in the home building industry, I built my first buyer persona. And if you're listening to this right now, you may be saying to yourself, you know what, Stormie, I built a buyer persona before and it was a great exercise, but when it came to putting it to action, it served absolutely no purpose. As a matter of fact, if I were to go get my buyer persona, it's probably sitting in some dusty old book that I've never looked in since I built it, and it was a waste of time. I'm with you, brother or sister or whoever you are. I'm with you, because when I built my first buyer persona, I experienced the same thing. It was full of a whole bunch of demographic data, like stuff like, okay, who's your ideal client? And you're answering things like, okay, my ideal client is a 55-year-old male. He's got 2.3 kids, drives a minivan that's 4 years old, making $123,000, got a 4-bedroom home. Who cares? It makes no difference. So my system, the world's best buyer persona system, it's really about getting into the mind. If I can understand, let's take that demographics out of the equation. But if I offer goods and services, right, and whoever I offer my goods and services to, if I can create messaging that's based around your pain points, if I understand your triggering events, why are you looking to buy my goods and services now versus a year from now or a year ago? If I understand the needs that are needing to be met, your emotions, if I understand what's important to you, what's not important to you, if I understand what you're seeing in the marketplace as it pertains to the solution for this particular problem, if I understand what your friends are telling you, your families are telling you about this particular decision, because I know that some of the group that's giving you advice are the half glass empty people, and some of the group is the half glass full people. And if I spend just a little bit of time, energy, and effort on these exercises, well, now what happens is I can have a much, much more empathetic message. I can have a message that's designed to connect with you emotionally. I can have a message that's designed to be that's putting you at the center of my universe. And by doing that and doing that consistently, it helps create a sales process through this digital assets that's far superior than the way that most organizations are doing it now. And that was my mission. The mission started when I was a young kid. I saw the power of it myself. And now that the world's gone digital, the way that we communicate, how do we make it better? And let's use an example of this. Have you ever sent a text to someone and you're having a conversation back and forth when it comes to text and something is taken out of context?
Yes.
Yeah, it happens, right? This digital stuff sucks in terms of communication. And I've seen that happen, and I've been a part of that. So my goal and my passion, because I've experienced it, Maria, is that let's make these digital assets better communicators. And not the only way, the best way I found to do it is applying the system that I created, which is called the world's best buyer persona system. That's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but that's how I roll.
No, well, it's not. I want people to get to know you because it's gonna make easier for them to contact you. Now they know how you speak, how passionate you are about, what they're looking for. So it's easier. I just want people to get closer to you.
Well, that's what I'm all about. Let's get close. We can start to dance.
Okay, pretty good. So I saw on your Facebook that you're one of the top 10 techs in the world.
No, top 50.
Top 50? Okay.
Yeah, top 50. I'll have to, raise my game to get to the top 10. I don't know what so there's an organization out there called Intercon, and Intercon, they look for visionaries. And for 2020, I was named one of the top 50 tech visionaries in the world, which is a pretty cool honor.
Yes.
And that designation was given to me because of the world's best buyer persona system. So I'm honored to have been nominated and selected by the selection community, to receive that designation. Yeah, so for 2020, I was named one of the top tech visionaries of the world, and it's because of the system. The system, it works when it's applied. And right now, can I just share with the world that we're in today? Would you say that 2020 is a little different than 2019, Maria?
Oh, a lot
A lot
different.
different, right?
Yeah.
The world's changed. Is that a fair
Yes.
statement?
Yes.
And because of the world changing, would it be would it be fair to say that this changing world has probably had maybe a profound impact on you? I mean, it's changed you as an individual. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
So if it's changed you as an individual, would it be fair to say that it's changed all the listeners of your podcast? Would it be
Yeah.
fair to say that it's changed the behaviors of most consumers of goods and services in the marketplace?
Yes.
Oh,
Definitely people is gonna be looking what is convenient to invest and what is not, especially with money being limited to to the way it used to be. So opportunities are less attainable unless you become creative and doing something else that is gonna
absolutely.
work.
Everything shifted. So something, if we use the example of opportunities that you provided, maybe in 2019's, whatever the opportunity was for you to gain, money and wealth, maybe that required a certain path, but the path for 2020 may be a different one, correct?
Yes.
So if I can accept, or if you can accept that the world has changed, and if you can accept that the motivations, the triggering events of people have changed, then um, let's think about this for just a moment. Let's say if you're listening to this and you're in business, right? You offer goods and services, and if people have shifted, let's say they moved just a few degrees to the right or left, or they moved multiple degrees, and they're just completely in a different place. And I'm not talking right or left in terms of political stuff. I'm just talking they've moved. Their motivations, their triggering events have changed. And let's say historically, let's say if you've been in business forever, and you say, you know what, I've always gotten my customers this way. I've always used this particular messaging that's been really, really effective for me. And every time you shoot your arrow, if you can imagine, you shoot your arrow, and every time you shoot your arrow, which is your presentation, your sales presentation, it hits your target, they buy your goods and services, and everyone's happy, right? Well, let's say if you keep doing it the way you've always done it. I really don't care what you've done that got your business to where it's at today. What I'm here to tell you is that if you keep doing what you've always done, there's a very, very strong possibility that's not going to cut it moving forward. You see, if you shot your arrow and you got a bullseye every time, and if your customer or your ideal client has just moved slightly in one direction or another, and if you keep shooting the same location, you're going to miss. Is that a fair statement? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So as a matter of fact, here, Maria, I'm going to go here. I'm just going to share a screen if you're cool with that. You said I
Yes,
can
of
do it,
course.
so
Yes.
you can't take it back now. Because, here's a screen that I talk about. And for those of you that are listening to the podcast, what I'm doing is I'm showing a picture of the world, and it's got a face covering over it. The world's changed. So if I can, if I can accept the fact that the world's changed, and then if I can accept the fact that you've changed, and then your customers changed, right? We know that people have changed. Well, then I need to change my strategy. So now you may be saying to yourself, you're like, okay, Stormie, I'm with you there. I agree with you that the world's changed. Maria, you may be thinking this right now. Okay, the world's changed. I've changed. My customers changed. And you may be saying, oh, crap. Now what do I do? Right? Okay, that's great news. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? I don't know how to change or where to change to. So it's interesting because in my book, The World's Best Buyer Persona, my motivation was to make digital assets better communicators. Well, since my book was released in July, I've received lots of feedback from individuals that have read the book. And I had one gentleman that shared with me, Byron. He said, you know what, Stormie? I read your book. And he wrote me he reached out to me, wrote an email to our company, and he says, the stuff you have in here, it's so much more profound than just business. I'm applying what you have in the world's best buyer persona to my family. It's allowing me to tweak my style of communication to my family. And he told me, I think you missed the mark, Stormie. I'm like, what do you mean I missed the mark? I'm the communication expert, dude. But he says, you missed the mark. He says, this book is so much more than just business. I've gone through the exercises, and I've been able to tweak and change my communication style, for my family and the dating scene, so his family is like his personal, he's not married, but for the dating scene, he says, man, it's pretty powerful for there. And I didn't think about that when I wrote the book, but, and then from a salesperson's perspective or just a communications perspective, the more intimately, the more energy you put in just really learning and understanding what's important to your goods and to your clients, the better off you are. Maria, do you have any children?
I do. I have two.
You have two kids. Do you mind if I ask their age?
No, not at all. 23 and 9.
Oh, 23 and 9.
Yes.
So let's take this for just a second, and I'm going to use the 9-year-old, if that's okay. And for your audience, think about this for just a second. And we're going to go back to our parents, right? How many times have our parents communicated to us in what was important to them versus what was important to you as a child, right? How effective was that? Not that effective,
No.
right? But if you were able to alter your communication style for the benefit of your 9-year-old, right, of what's emotionally, and is your 9-year-old a boy or a girl? I'm sorry.
Boy.
A boy. Yeah. So for your 9-year-old son, if you were able to kind of alter, just make slight tweaks using that example of the arrow, and if you were to start tweaking your communication style, even if you're looking for the same outcome, the same desired outcome, but if you start tweaking it for the benefit of your 9-year-old son, what's important to him, his motivations, his triggering events, his feelings, his emotions, how much more effective would your communication be? And your and how much you'll get your desired outcome in spades, right? You'll get the desired outcome much more often. And the same thing happens with customers. You see, we tend to forget about that. And sometimes we get in our old ways. And I just want you to go back to your mom and dad when you grew up as a kid. Sometimes they were stuck in their ways and they're like, we're going to do things this way. We're going to do things that way. And if you're communicating to your customers this way, you're going to get the same results that you gave to your customers. I mean, that you gave to your parents when you were a kid. So this book is about communicating your style, and you can't do it unless you get intimately involved with them, or if you really spend the energy and effort to find out what's important to them and their triggering events and their emotions, and there is a process of doing it. That's why it took me years of putting this together, and it just wasn't me. When I put this together, I had to bring in to get the final touches. I'm fortunate with my company, Yoka Local. I have many employees that work for me. Some of the people that contributed, I had a member of my team that contributed, to help me put some of the final touches, was an intelligence officer in the military. I had someone else who had a master's degree in psychology. Another gentleman who has an economics degree, another one that was a writing expert, someone who has a finance degree. I mean, some really, really smart people helped me put on the finishing touches when I was struggling. So it's not like, hey, Stormie, you're just this magical genius. No, I'm not. I had some geniuses around me that helped me when I got stuck of putting this system together to make it as simplified as possible. So that's really what it comes down to, because here's the problem that I discovered that a lot of businesses suffer with. And when it comes to organizations, the problem is their sales are unpredictable. They don't want to come off as being too pushy, because we've all dealt with that pushy salesperson. And then when they start doing some marketing or advertising, they feel like they're just burning cash. Right? Because it's like, I'm getting nothing for it. I'm just spending a lot of money. I'm getting nothing. And that's a huge problem. And because of COVID and because the world changing, these problems have only become amplified. They've only amplified because the world's changed. So you're like, okay, and the solution is, for each of those three categories, is to get a process where you can have predictable sales, where you're trusted and profitable. That's really the solution. And how do you do that? The world's best buyer persona system really puts you on the path to get you to, to help clear the path for you to get to, predictable sales and becoming trusted and profitable, and not just in a business sense. This also works in a personal sense, applying this methodology. Was that clear? Because I went on another wrong rant, Maria. I'm
No,
sorry.
it is. It is. Thank you. It's very valuable. It's helpful. It's so for people that don't have a business right now, or they're not struggling with their business, but they want to improve their relationships and the way they communicate with people that they care about. Definitely get the book.
Absolutely. I think it's for $20, it'll probably be the best $20 you've ever spent. And, even when the book was released, it was it immediately went to the Amazon hot new releases. It was the hardcover was like in the #1 spot. The paperback was in the #2 spot, and it stayed in the hot new releases in the #1 and 2 spot for over a week, which was pretty awesome. And the feedback I'm getting is so much more than I ever dreamed of. And the applications that people are using the book for is pretty incredible.
Where can we buy it?
Wherever you buy books. So, online is easiest today. So whether that's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, wherever you buy books online. I think Amazon gets it to you the fastest, but, any online, mini bookstore.
Okay. Sounds really good. Are you willing to play a game?
Uh-oh, we're going to play games. Okay, you talked me into it. You're twisting my arm.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna play a game, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how you can help people. Okay. So
Okay.
for people to
Cool.
get to know your personality. So I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and the first question is, what is your favorite animal and why?
Ooh, my favorite animal and why? It's kind of a weird one, but I'm gonna have to go with dolphins.
Okay.
And I know that's a stranger, like a dolphin. Are you kidding me? But I'm intrigued by dolphins because they're, I'm told that they're kind of like the human of this, the most intelligent creature in the ocean. I don't know if that's true. I just heard it once, but
Okay.
they seem pretty darn smart. If you watch some of the, some of the nature shows, I'm intrigued by dolphins. They seem pretty cool, pretty smart. I don't know for sure. Never seen it. Or I've never like gone to the SeaWorld or something and petted a dolphin, but they do seem like that they're pretty incredible creatures of the sea.
Okay, perfect. Now, your favorite piece of clothing. Any piece of clothing that you prefer?
Well, if you're watching me on video, you can see my shirt looks like I'm going to a disco, right? I'm known for wearing some pretty funky shirts. So the funkier the shirt, the more I like it. One of the shirts that I get the most feedback on, I use feedback, not compliments, is they say it looks like grandma's old tablecloth. And I love it. So I love funky, crazy shirts.
Okay. Okay, and then your favorite pound of water, or a place where water is found, your favorite place where water is found.
My favorite place, it's so easy to go with like the beach.
Beach.
You know what I mean? I mean, but that's just too easy. So I'm gonna resist the beach because the beach is just like a easy equation. So let's just see something. Right now, if I could go to a body of water and it not being the beach, I'm gonna have to go with the pool at the M Casino. Because
Okay.
at the M Casino, they've got these little private cabanas with jacuzzis that are built into them, which are just pretty sweet. And I can just sit there all day and get something that you can't get at the beach, and that is table service, where I can get someone bringing me food and drink. So I'm going to say the cabana at the M Casino. And if you're listening to this to M Casino, maybe you ought to sponsor me for giving you this plug right now. But even if you don't, yeah, you're still my favorite spot.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, what else would you say about the beach?
The beach is just the beach. The beach is cool. Getting out there in the beach, there's a place there's 2 places that I'm going to give you at the beach. There's a pier, I think it's Pier 55 in Huntington Beach. I may be wrong with that, but it's a great place to like go boogie boarding. I've never figured out how to surf, but I like to boogie board. But then in Manhattan Beach, and these are in California, by the way, in Manhattan Beach, there's the Strand where you can just kind of walk around, which is kind of cool. And, ride bicycles and just people watch. One of the things I like to do, which, you know, some people don't, I'm intrigued by people. I really like people, and I can't wait to get back into the world to be around people because, and this is where I'm going at Manhattan Beach. What I found is that when I'm there on the Strand, besides just people walking or people watching, sometimes I'll just sit there and just talk to some random stranger and finding out like what makes them tick, what's going on in their world, and making that conversation about them. And I have found that that's a great place to do that. There was a hotel I used to that I stayed at called the Beach House, and it had you know, it's right up against the Strand, so I can sit in the little patio of the hotel on the ground level and just talk to random strangers and random people and just find out what's up with them. And here's the cool thing about that when you do that is that there are, you know, there's just a lot of people that they yearn for some sort of an emotional connection. They just don't know how to go get it. And if you're just willing to utter those first words, you'll be amazed. Now, some people look at you like you're strange, but that's okay. That's their problem. But others are very, very appreciative of it. So, and you can meet some really cool and interesting people that way.
Awesome. Are you ready for the results?
Uh-oh. I get results?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was okay. So I get results. Do I win like $1 million?
No, okay.
Oh,
So,
dang it.
okay, so let me tell you what it's about. This is a psychological test.
Okay.
So your favorite animal is the way you view yourself,
As
which
a
is
dolphin?
like a dolphin. So dolphins are the most intelligent creatures. They're very smart and they're incredible. That's how you see yourself.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a little conceited, but okay. Dang, I'm conceited. Maria, what's up with that? Okay, so dolphin. There we go. I'm a dolphin.
Okay. And then your favorite piece of clothing is how people see you. So, which is funky, looks like grandma old tablecloth.
People see me as grandma's old tablecloth. How about that? Nice.
Okay, and your favorite place where water is found is how you view sex.
How I view sex.
Yes.
So let's hear that one there. A lot of people
Okay.
watching. I'm a little bit of an exhibitionist. I see. How about that?
We will find out soon enough. Okay, so the first word that came to mind is the beach. So, so when it's too easy for you, it's cool. It just helps you to connect with people. You like to people watch, and it's like an easy occasion. That's your first approach. And then if the beach is not available, then it's sex for you is private, is sweet. And if you can be having seated with the table service in a cabana and you just love people and people watching.
Nice. So you guys hear that? Next time I have sex, it's going to be sweet and apparently in public.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, it was interesting when I did this game because I did it on Lara Porreca and we couldn't record the video. So it was funny for me because when I asked her about her favorite animal, she also said the dolphin.
Really?
And when I asked her about sex, she said the beach, but she missed it. She hasn't been there in a long time.
Oh, that's
So,
funny.
you know, it's bad that we couldn't have it recorded because I told her, you know what, Lara, when people listen to this interview, you're going to have some indecent proposals.
Absolutely. I'll send her a message right after this.
So I'm going to have to redo the interview with her. It's just...
Absolutely.
I found this game on a Kelly Clarkson show and I thought it was funny because releases the tension. It gets you, you know, just relax and then we can talk about something else.
Nice.
So how do you sit with people and talk about how you can help them when they come with you with an issue that they're having? How do you approach their needs?
Their needs. So, you know, I'm a marketing dude, right? I'm all about marketing, and I think marketing comes down to communication. You know, that's really what it comes down to. And I'm also a big guy when it comes to strategy. And unfortunately, I see too many people just wasting time, energy, effort, and money by just doing tactic after tactic. It feels like they're doing something. They feel like they're busy because they're running around all crazy, but there's just no strategy associated with it. So one of the things that I like to do, would you mind if I do another screen share just to kind of
No, no,
give you a
please.
highlight of my strategy? And
Yes.
this might help for those of you that are watching on video. This may help because here's one of the things that I see in terms of marketing and the world's best buyer persona. Can I go through this exercise with you?
Yes, please.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay, because you already found out, like, man, this guy's long-winded. So do I really want to give him that opportunity? But here's what it comes down to, and I'll just kind of show you here. Let me just do something. So if you can see this, let me stop this really quick. So share screen. So I'm going to do my best for those of you that are watching to really take marketing and think of it a little bit differently. And believe it or not, we're all in marketing, we're all in sales. I don't care what you do. You could be a food server at a local restaurant. You're in marketing, you're in sales, because if you have regulars that want to come back and seat in your section, you're in marketing, you're in sales, right?
Yes.
If you have your own business, you're in marketing, your sales. And if you don't believe this, you need to. Because if you want to be successful, I don't care what your industry is. I have a doctor, my family doctor, who I've been with for years. He's in marketing, he's in sales. Because I've had doctors before that weren't in marketing, they weren't in sales, and I'm out because they don't think of me as a human. They just think of me as another patient. Have you experienced that?
Yes.
So I don't care what profession you're in marketing, you're in sales. So here's the way that I look at marketing. And I'm going to show you an exercise that you can do yourself. And I'm going to show it to you on screen. So if you're listening to this, I would highly recommend that you go to Maria's video version of this and go through this exercise, because it's a way to break down marketing into easier elements. And we've broken it down into 8 elements. And you have the ability of rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. So, the first, so right now we're looking at if we're looking here, this is something that we're going to build out a marketing wheel. So maybe we go through an exercise that we want to determine how good is your awareness. So as it pertains to your goods, your services, your brand, are people aware of it? So maybe you say, yeah, if someone's looking for what I have to offer, they absolutely find me. I'm all over the place. Well, in that case, you'd be a 5, because that's the highest score you can get. On the other hand, if you say, no, no one's aware of me. If it's not my friends, if it's not my family, no one knows who in the hell I am. Well, in that case, you'd probably give yourself a 1, because a 1 would be a low score, poor, non-existent. 3 would be average. 4 above average, 2 below average. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's say, Maria, me and you were going through this exercise right now, right? And we're sitting here and we're going through a lot of questions, and we find out as we go through and we rate your awareness. I've got a chart here where I'm showing where 1 to 5 would be on the screen. So once we do a rating, you'll put a dot on that particular spoke. So if we start with awareness, let's say we're sitting here and you say, yeah, you know what? We determined that your awareness is about average. So you're a 3. So, hey, I'm no better, I'm no worse, I'm a 3. So then the next thing that we start looking at is, okay, if people are aware of your brand, what about engagement? Are they engaging with you? Meaning that if you post something on social media, are people commenting? Are they sharing? Are they giving you feedback? Or, if social media was the gauge, maybe you're not on social media, maybe it's just emails. Are they opening your emails? So engagement, let's rate your engagement. So now you say, you know what, Stormie, we've gone through engagement. Yeah, you know what, I've got a problem there. I'm a 1. I'm putting stuff out there, but people just aren't engaging, right? And then we would do the other thing of lead generation. Are you generating leads? What's your procedure, your process there? We would rate you in lead generation. And let's say you say, okay, Stormie, I'm a 2. And then we say, okay, of all the leads you're generating, Maria, we go through some other processes to figure out conversion optimization. Are people converting? Are they becoming customers? Or are they doing whatever your desired result is? And you're like, oh yeah, of the few leads I get, I'm only getting a few, but the few that I get, they absolutely convert. They come on my show, right? So then the next thing is wow moments, meaning that once they decide to become a customer, what kind of wow moments do you have? Like, for instance, the test, the game we just went through, I would say that's a phenomenal wow moment. Please don't take that out of out of the show, because when I leave here today, I'm going to let everyone know that I just found out that I'm an intelligent dude that looks like grandma that loves to be an exhibitionist when he has sex. So I'm going to let people know that that's the new me, and I didn't discover that until today. And to top it all off, I'm known as 15 on the street. So I've got everything rolling for me, right? So there it is. So let's say you've got some wow moments. So you say, hey, my wow moments, you know what? I haven't thought about that. I don't have true wow moments. I'm in number 2. So then we go to the customer ladder, and the customer ladder is, how good are you at taking people that are customers? Are you able to take them to become clients and turning your clients into advocates and advocates into raving fans? And you're like, yeah, that absolutely happens. It could be better, but it's good. So I'm gonna give myself a 4. And then we talk about reviews and testimonials. Do you have a process there? And you're like, I'm pretty close to a 4 because I get lots of reviews and testimonials. And then referrals are people referring people to you. So if we're looking at her in the screen, this is what your plot graph looks like, fair enough. So then this is supposed to be a marketing wheel. So when we go to connect all the dots, this wheel is not going to roll all that good, right? That wheel is going to roll and it's just going to kind of like plop. But here's where the beauty comes in. Let's say if we took engagement, right? You're like, okay, here's my wheel. I'm only going to work on one of these spokes at a time. I really need to take my engagement up to the next level. I think that's something that, you say to yourself, that's something that you could work on, and that's what you're going to focus on. We're not going to worry about all this other stuff. We're going to focus on one spoke at a time. So you're okay. I'm a 1 in engagement. What can I do? Even without spending any money, what can I do to increase my engagement? So you start brainstorming and you're looking at videos on YouTube and you're like, oh, I can do that. And now you go through it and now you've taken your engagement and now you're a 2, right? You're like, man, see how that wheel gets a little bit better, it gets a little rounder. Yes. And you're like, let me work on a little bit more because I'm digging this engagement. And then you push it out to a 3 and then you push it out to a 4 and you're like, okay, a 4 is good. Now let me move on to the next area. Let me push out, how can I improve my lead generation? And then you're just looking at building a wheel. Does that make sense there?
Yes.
So once you go through these exercises, Maria, what you end up with is a scenario of, well, you got to have a strategy, but you have a scenario to where you can put a playbook in each of those 8 areas. And then you're like, okay, whatever area I need to work on, I've got a playbook. And then the world's best buyer persona, my system inside my book, becomes the hub of that wheel. And if for those of you that are not familiar, what is a hub of the wheel? A hub of the wheel is what connects to the axle that allows the wheel to actually spin. So the hubs, they put ball bearings and lubricants, and the better your hub is, the more efficiently your wheel will spin. So what the world's best buyer persona allows you to do is, if you know your customers intimately, and I'm going to ask you this, Maria, if you know everything there is to know about your ideal clients, do you think that will help you when it's time for you to put your engagement strategy together? Do you think you'll be able to put a better engagement strategy together?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. And if you wanted to generate more leads, if you knew them intimately, it will help you put that strategy together. You see, that's why the world's best buyer persona, it becomes the hub of your wheel. It allows you to put your strategy together for all of these elements. And now you have this wheel that's just rolling. So when I sit with people, when they meet with me, and the reason that I created the book is because a lot of individuals, they just, sitting with me personally one-on-one doesn't fit into their budget. It's just, my rates are just too expensive. But they're like, how can I get the information? And so here's what I'm going to do, Maria, if you're okay with this. I'm going to make a special offer for the viewers of your show. Are you ready?
Yes.
So I'm going to create a page on my website, and I'm going to give you the link so you can share it with your audience, okay? Perfect. And when I give you the link, and I'll send you the link because I got to create the page. Okay. That'll take me an hour, so you won't have it for about an hour from now.
Okay.
But what someone will have the ability of doing is they can go to whatever page you decide to put it on, and if they buy a copy of my book, so my book is $20 on Amazon, hardcover is $25. So we're not talking, if you like what I have to say and you want to apply this and you're like, okay, Stormie, I really, really want to do this. My book only helps you build the hub. It doesn't help you build your strategies for each of these 8 categories. I do sell a course on my website. It's $200 for 30 days access, $197 to be exact, for 30 days access that walks you through. It's an 18-part video series with me where I'm walking you through how to build your strategy and awareness and engagement in all these different categories, right? I teach you how to audit where you're at, and then I teach you how to build the strategy. That course, I sell it for $197, but here's what I'm going to do. If you buy a copy of my book for $20, I'm going to give Maria a website URL that I'm going to build. And if you go to that page, put in your name, your email address, and just take a screenshot of you buying the book. You know what I mean? So a screenshot as your proof of purchase from Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, whatever, and send that to me. What I will do is do a validation, and then I'll give you that $197 course for free. For
Awesome.
free. Is that a pretty cool deal?
It is.
So, and it's not for everyone. It's just for those that are like, hey, I want to take this seriously. So like I said, I'm going to give Maria the link to the URL. Pretty easy. Put in your name, your email address, upload a screenshot to prove that you bought the book. And if you do, you will get an email from me a few hours later, you know, because my team will have to validate, you know, that it's real, that you didn't upload a picture of a cat or something, or a dolphin. And then what we'll do is send you a promotion code. So when you go to our website, when it's asking you for $197, it's going to give it to you for $0. So that's what I'm willing to do for your audience today, Maria. If you think that's a great way to help people, because I want to help businesses. And if the book, you know, if you think you're doing great, this may help you do even better. But if the world's shifted on you and business has business has stalled a little bit, this book helps. As a matter of fact, when COVID hit, my agency, Yoka Local, within the course of a week, our revenue went down 57%. And I've got payroll. I've got lots of employees. I'm like 57%. I thought, you know, this may be the end of Yoka Local. COVID may put us out. But what we decided to do is go back to our strategy. We went back to the world's best buyer persona, and we started rehashing what's going through. The world has changed. We knew our ideal clients have changed, so we need to change our messaging, and we did. And just a few weeks ago, we went from that loss, you know, at 57% revenue loss, to where we're now, we've exceeded our post-COVID revenue numbers, and which is pretty awesome. You know, it's not overnight. It took us, you know, 100 days. And in 100 days, we've now exceeded where we were prior to COVID in terms of monthly revenue. So, and we've been, you know, we apply the same methodology, you know, to our clients. So you can either sit with me, give me tens of thousands of dollars to go over this with you, spend $20, buy the book, get access to my course for free. And there you go. That's how I'll sit with people. You can sit with me virtually.
Awesome. That's really good. It's a really good offer. This is the first one we have. So I'm going to promote it so people can take advantage of it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're welcome.
Well, really nice. What else can people follow you? How can they get a hold of you?
So you can find me at either yokalocal.com. That's my company website. You can also just Google my name. If you Google Stormie Andrews, it's with an IE. You can find me all over the internet. I write articles for Forbes, for HubSpot, our own website. I also have my own website, stormieandrews.com. That's, remember, with an IE. So those are ways you can track me down. And if you have an organization that you're looking for someone to come share some of these nuggets with, reach out to me. I can speak to your organization virtually, and when the world opens back up, maybe in person. And but if you have an organization that you feel that the members of your organization can benefit from these nuggets, well, reach out to me. If you don't feel they can benefit, don't reach out to me. It's pretty easy. So that's pretty much the case. How's that?
It's good. Thank you so much.
You're
Do you
welcome.
want to say anything else? Shout out anybody?
Let's see. So, man, I would have so many people. I'll get in trouble if I do that, because I'll start the shout out stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then someone hears this and they're like, dude, I'm like your dolphin buddy and you forgot about me. And someone else will be like, I'm like the octopus of the sea and you forgot it. So I'll get in trouble if I do the shout outs and not forgetting things. I will give a shout out to my granddaughter, though. We call her Dr. P. She's 3. She's Dr. P. Not that she's going to listen to the show. I'm sorry, Maria. She's not your audience. But she has me wrapped around her finger. And so Dr. P, just like the book that's been dedicated to you, this show's dedicated to you too.
I love that. Thank you so much. Well, maybe she's not my audience right now, but we will make the video available on YouTube. So it's going to be there, you know, forever. Maybe when she's older and she finds that interview, she's going to say like, oh my God, you dedicated it to me.
Well, you know, it's funny because of my dedication inside the book. is because it's the world's best buyer persona system, I dedicate it to Dr. P, and I let her know this book isn't for her, but I do proceed to tell her that one day she may have to do a book report. And it would be incredible to me when she's in school if she decides to do a book report on my book, builds a buyer persona, and it's my hope that that buyer persona would be that she has to build a buyer persona of her ideal grandpa. And if that grandpa turned out to be me, then my life has been, all my time on this earth has been absolutely worth it, because how cool would that be?
Yeah, I love that energy. I think you are in pure love right there. There is nothing that can be, purer than that, your granddaughter's love.
Well, except she takes everything I buy. So we've got to figure out that. She just automatically assumes it's hers.
Well,
So,
I don't know if you know about abundance, but when we have people that take from us, then the universe sends more. So I think you have a good companion.
Let me go buy some more stuff for her to take it.
Yeah.
Because she just comes up and compound, that's mine. I'm like, what? That's mine. I could be eating something, a slice of it. Oh, that's mine. What? And she just takes it. So I'm like, we're going to have to fight over this. She puts up her dukes. I put up my dukes. But I still have some more training to do because she gets the best out of me.
I understand. That's beautiful. I'm glad that you can show that, and people can feel it's genuine and they can identify with it. I'm glad that you're here because that's going to inspire others to be on the show.
Awesome. Well, it was I had a great time with you this morning, and thanks for having me on the show. You're an inspiration, Maria. This is awesome. I'm glad you started this show, and definitely stick with it. Keep the ball rolling. I did a statistic, just a study, just to share with you, that when someone starts a podcast or a show like this, you got to go a minimum of 300 episodes for it to stick. Okay. So if this is number 15, whatever goals you've set for yourself, don't let that goal, just know it's a minimum of 300 episodes before it gets sticky. So just to kind of give you, and that was some research I did some time ago. So I figured I'd share that with you, because sometimes people, they're like, man, I've done 100, shows and it's just not where it should be. Well, statistically speaking, it's not supposed to be where you think it should be, because you need 300 of them. So that's when things really start to take off. So that's just a little tidbit of information that hopefully that's beneficial to you. But I've already done the research and the studies for you.
Thank you so much. Well, I was planning 100, so now you set the bar higher. I need to go up to 300.
300, yeah, because that's what it takes for it to stick.
Okay, sounds good. I think we'll definitely keep on doing it until I can reach the 300. Then I'm gonna talk to you and tell you this is because of you. It went up to 300 instead of the 100 that I had originally planned to do.
Awesome. Well, just don't refer to me as Stormie anymore. You can call me Dolphin 15. That's my new name in the streets.
I think we're going to have to put a dolphin on your shirt.
Yeah, Dolphin 15 on the beach. There it is. There's my code name.
Well, it's a beautiful animal, and it can go really far in oceans. So I think you picked up a good one, and also people will identify with it.
So let me ask you, what would have happened if I would have picked a snail?
Well, it's not so much about what the animal is; it's how you view it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Because you could have said qualities about the snail that we don't know, that that's how you see it, but that's because it's just how you view yourself. It could have been a horse, it could have been a butterfly, it could have been anything. It's just
a barfly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I should have went with? Dang it. I should have went with the tardigrade. What a tardigrade is?
No.
So a tardigrade is it's a microscopic creature, but it's considered to be the most hardy. And you can look at it, a tardigrade. Sometimes it's referred to as a water bear, but they've taken these little tardigrades, and they're small, they're microscopic.
Yes.
And but they've blasted them with radiation. They survive. They've taken them out to the space. They survive. So it's considered to be the most hardy living creature that we know of, because nothing seems to destroy it. So I could have been like Thanos and So yeah, I'll change it next time.
It's all right.
That look cool. Okay.
We can always do another game, and you can change the answers, and maybe the answers are going to be different.
Yeah,
but now you know where it's going.
Now you know, absolutely. So yeah, oh, that's funny. That's pretty
I
good.
think there is still that like the spark on the personality that comes out, regardless if you know where it's going. Is like you laugh, but then you have to say something anyways.
Absolutely.
Now tell us, is Stormy your real name?
Yeah, that's my given name. So,
Okay.
my mom named me Stormy, and I had a very difficult birth when I was born. My mom wasn't supposed to live,
Oh,
and I wasn't supposed to live, and my mom wasn't supposed to live. So when I was born, she came through a few weeks later. I mean, so she remained in the hospital. They actually read her last rites after
wow.
giving birth to me. So that tells you how sick she was, and because of that, she wanted my name to be Stormy. But then, my middle name is Sylvester, my last name is Andrews, so my initials are ass backwards. So that's that's the other side of the equation. But yes, Stormy is my given name.
That is really funny. Now people is gonna remember you associated with something else.
Yeah, like hey, that ass backwards guy you had on the show. What was his name again? All I can remember is just ass backwards and dolphins. What the?
No, because when I tell people I'm interviewing Stormy, they're like, Stormy, question mark? I'm like, yes. And then I show a picture of you.
They're like, that's not Stormy Daniels. Yeah, well, you know.
Well, just so people understand, it is your real name because sometimes people have an artistic name or the public name or something that you change that, like artists, like singers that change their
And
name.
they changed their names, right?
Yeah.
Can I just share something else for your audience, which I think is just that I just think it's a personal story that's happened to me that I'll just share with your audience because I think it's just very, very important. Is that okay?
Of course.
Can I do that? So,
Yes.
um, so and it's probably, who knows who it's meant for, but it's just something that's very important to me in terms of messaging. And I'm just going to dive into a conversation on mental health, if that's okay. I
Yes.
know I'm totally off topic, but I'm going to share my own story because one of the things that I committed to do is I'm becoming more vulnerable. And I think that vulnerability, I have found that the more vulnerable I have become as an individual, the more I'm experiencing and enjoying life. And unfortunately, I think a lot of dudes are taught not to be vulnerable. We're taught to be tough and stoic and all this other stuff. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share this story with your audience. And then who knows, maybe it can help someone in your audience. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
So, my wife and I, in August of last year, my wife and I, we've been married for 29 years. And in August of last year, she pulled me into the backyard and said, let's have a conversation. And she proceeded to tell me that she's not in love with me anymore, which is a very difficult thing to hear. And it's one of those scenarios that when she shared that with me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what? Because if you were to ask me the day before, like, Stormy, how would you rate your relationship? I'm like, dude, we're 10. We're best friends. We're buds. We're crushing it. And to hear that from her, to realize that we weren't tens in her eyes, that we were a one, it was something that was just very shocking to me. Now, and I'm not bringing this up, to say, hey, I'm going through a divorce to talk about that particular story, but I'm letting you know that this was a traumatic event that happened in my life, and I am going through the divorce. And by the way, me and my wife, we're buds, we're friends, we do things together. We just decided that we want different things out of life. She wanted to take a path which is different than the path that I want to take, right? So, and that's okay. We both get to live our dreams and be friends with it. But the point that I wanted to bring up is the fact that that was a very traumatic episode. And this happened in August of last year. And just yesterday, as a matter of fact, we signed our divorce papers. So, things are progressing. But during, after that happened and she moved out, I started and got her own place. I started diving into work and and just diving into work and doing all these things, which I think are pretty awesome. And during the process of that, I was introduced to something, a gentleman here in town named by the name of Preston Walker, who does something called a neurofeedback brain scan. And I figured that, you know what, I'm going to get back into the, now that I have this new reality that I'm creating for myself, being a single person that hasn't been a single person since he was a teenager. I'm like, I want to start focusing on myself. And let me just back up really quick. I'm sorry, I forgot this part of the story. So when my wife shared that information with me, when she felt that we were 1, I felt I was a 10. I could have gone into denial. I could have gone into the scenarios and said, you're full of it, you're crazy. But no, I went and did and looked at myself, and I did this deep dive into myself, and I realized that, man, you know what? If I was married to me, maybe, who knows? I may have divorced myself too, because I had a different definition of what love is than what she had. My definition of love was, let me just buy you new things and nice things and spend money and do all this other stuff. And that's what I perceived love to be, because that's what I had learned from my dad, right? And I'd also learned from my dad, that guys aren't supposed to show emotion. We're tough, we're stoic. All we need to do is put food on the table, provide for your family. That's love. That was my understanding. And really all my wife wanted was like, dude, just help around the house. You know what I mean? Do some of these acts of service. That's what she was looking for. And I just didn't get it until I went on this journey. And I actually thanked my wife for sharing this with me, because it allowed me to do the self-discovery. And when I did the self-discovery, I'm like, dude, there's a lot of personal growth that you can get, as it pertains to this type of thing. Unfortunately, it was just too late for us. Makes sense there? So I wanted to back up there. So part of this self-discovery, I discovered something called a neurofeedback scan. And I wanted to do a neurofeedback scan to help increase my performance as it pertains to work. I'm like, I want to dive deeper into my work. I've got these goals and all this other stuff. And they have a program where they put this cap on your head, and they put electrodes in your head. And when they do the electrodes, they do a brain scan, and it tells you how your brain's firing and triggering. And then you can train your brain to do some pretty incredible stuff. So when I went through that therapy, and by the way, this was last week. So I'm sorry, the week before last. It was Friday, the week before last, excuse me. I got my results on Tuesday of last week. But, my goal was to go spend some money to start training my brain for like laser focus, because I'm like, I'm going to be traveling the world and speaking things, and I want my communication stuff to be tight. Well, when I met with him, and this is what we're going to get to, when he did a brain scan, he's like, hey, Stormie. And by the way, when I did this exercise on this neurofeedback, he doesn't ask me any questions. He asked me, I'm sitting in his office. I spend 3 minutes looking at a wall, doing my best to keep my thoughts clear. And then I spend 3 minutes with my eyes closed, doing my best to keep my mind clear. And then he just reads the electrical signals that come from the scan. So Tuesday this past week, I get with him, and he says, hey, Stormie, you are a candidate for feedback, but I want to share something with you. And let me ask you a question first. He says, have you had anything, has anything strange been happening in your life? Have you had any traumatic events? Is there something going on with you? And he says, because I'm reading a certain area of your brain, the way it's firing the way someone who's experiencing depression would be firing. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So then I explained to him what's happening in my life as it pertains to the divorce. And he says, yeah, you know what? You should go work on that. You should probably go see a therapist. Let's work on that. Let's get your brain firing the right way, because right now it's just firing in a region that would be customary to someone with depression. And there's such a thing as high functioning people that experience depression. And the fact that you stated that you've been diving yourself into work, that's been your way of coping with this. So you don't have to deal with it. You're just staying busy. And I'm like, whoa. So it was pretty profound to me. So I immediately made, an appointment to like, if that's the case, let me go see a therapist. But here's the thing I wanted to bring up, because I shared this story with a couple of people since that happened. And 2 of the people I shared this with broke down in tears, because as I shared my story, they were on 2 separate occasions. One was a male, one was a female. They started to cry because they felt that that maybe they're dealing with depression and wasn't able to admit it to themselves. They found themselves in a scenario where they were working 70, 80 hours a week and didn't even think of depression. But as I shared this story with them, they started to self-reflect. And the problem with those types of things is if you let them sit there and you let them, metastasize, they only get worse. So I'm sharing this to share it with your audience that when it comes to mental health, it's a real deal, and that's something you want to take care of, because it controls all the other things of your body. I'm fortunate because this is something that I had the resources to go get checked out, and I'm like, okay, let me take it to the next level because I really want my brain in tip top shape. But I also find it healthier and experiencing life by sharing my scenario with your audience. You see, a few years ago, there's no way in hell I would have shared this story because I had this persona that, you know what? Oh, I'm Stormie. I'm a dolphin. You know, I've got all this stuff going on, but there are things that are just happening with other people. So uh, uh, be aware of friends and family and other people, and you don't know what's happening in their life, regardless what you see on the outside. And I just happen to be someone who does his best to pay attention to what's happening with his body and his mind and his mental state. And even with that being said, and I have the training on this. Even with that being said, I missed it. I missed it on myself because I'm in the picture. And but now that I'm aware of it, I'm gonna tackle it head first and continue this path of being vulnerable and just share who I am. You like it, awesome. If you don't, that's cool. But it's I find it very, very liberating. So I know this is probably off topic, but I just felt it was something very important to share, and it also lets you know a little bit about me as an individual. I am who I am. I have no more. It's awesome not having to wear a mask of this person you are in the outside world versus a different person. I'm just me, peeps, and I just want to share this. If you're a dude, especially, I can only because I'm a dude, and if you were raised with the same values that dudes are just supposed to be, putting food on the table and all other stuff, I'm gonna tell you something. There's a much better way. I believe that my dad went to the grave without ever living in his life. I just discovered this gift when my wife shared with me that she wasn't in love with me, and it just turned out to be an incredible gift because it sent me on a path to realize that I wasn't living, because now I'm experiencing the high highs, I'm experiencing the high lows. I'm not living in that safe zone that I've been accustomed to, and it is pretty freaking awesome. So I just wanted to share that story with your audience, if that's okay, Maria. I know I went completely off topic, but I just felt that it's something that's also extremely important and passionate about. Who knows? Maybe I'll write a book on it. Maybe I'll go talk on it, because I just think it's something that people need to say, that it's okay. It's okay not to be okay at times. And because you can't do anything about it until you acknowledge it. And then once you acknowledge it, now you can go do something about it. And who knows what's on the other side of that.
It's a self-discovery, but it's then definitely acts of love. It is depressing to be divorced because I've been there, and you need to have compassion on yourself and just understand that it's hurting. There's gonna be a point in your life where it's not gonna hurt anymore, and you're gonna be thankful that that change happened in your life at that age, because it is like I feel like it's when an angel saves you. And I think
Yeah.
that's what is happening for you right now. It's like saving you from falling all the way down. It's always picking you up before you fall. And I think that is what is happening to you right now. I'm so grateful that you share it. And this is not all about business. I want people to connect at a human level. And you just did that for us. And that's my intention as well. It's not just
Yeah.
to promote you, but for people to know who is the human inside your body.
Absolutely. And that's me. You know what I mean? So and
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm embracing this journey that I'm on. I've noticed that I've been on lots of journeys, and the harder the journey has been, the greater the fruits were on the other side. So I've been, like I said, this was August of 2019 where this had started. So I've been dealing with this for quite some time. And now that that's the case, I'm now to the point where I'm embracing it. And like I said, my soon-to-be ex-wife, we're still cool. As a matter of fact, we're going camping with her brother in a few weeks. So, we've got a great relationship, and she made me a better individual. But she just has a different path. So I'm going to support her in her path. I'm like, dude, I'm supporting you in your path. Do you, be you. And, which is, don't live with regrets. And because of that, as painful as it was, because I'm now at the point where I'm just starting to, embrace this. I'm excited for what the future has for me. It's going to be pretty awesome.
You know what I see for you is that you're learning to love her in a way you didn't expect it to love her, but you're also learning to love yourself in a way you didn't expect it. You needed to be loved.
You know what? You hit the nail right in the head. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The level of love, and I think it's more for my on myself side. I'm learning to love myself in a way that I never ever knew was possible. I just didn't even know, and
Mhm.
because of that additional love of myself, it's it's I'm experiencing life to a degree that I never experienced. I really feel like, and I told her this. I said, "Hey, Sandra, thank you," because I'm 50, and at the
Yeah.
age of 50 is I rediscovered life in a way that I hadn't experienced since I was probably a kid, and 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 it's awesome. And and I just think that too many people go to their graves without ever rediscovering that life or ever discovering it without ever living. So now I have that opportunity. So it's yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, self-love is something definitely work for, and but also when you love yourself more, you can love others more. So
Absolutely.
I think she's gonna be like the one person you're gonna hold in pure love, and you might not be there yet, but you're gonna be able to hold her just the way you hold your little one, your granddaughter.
Well, there's no question. I'm already messing with her too. She was
Yeah.
hanging out here yesterday getting some stuff. So and I'm a big a Tesla Elon Musk fanboy, right? I've got a
Yes.
Tesla car, and I'm going to buy myself the Cybertruck. So I told her, and she hates the Cybertruck. She thinks it's the ugliest thing ever. So I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, it's ugly, ugly, ugly. So I'm like, okay, well, when that comes out, now I'm going to buy two because I'm getting you one. And she's like, I'm like, no, 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 no. You're getting a Cybertruck just because you think it's ugly. And she's like, you're such an idiot. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting you a Cybertruck, and now you're going to have to drive it, or I'm going to take it back. But so now, you know what I mean? It's a different type of relationship. We're having fun with it, and all too often, people think that one member of the relationship wants a divorce, that now the person's suddenly a bad person, which is ridiculous. She made me a better person. We've been together for 29 years, and I'm a far better person because of her. And during the process of this divorce, she gave me a gift that I could never dream of getting. It's unfortunate the way that it happened, but I'm extremely grateful for the gift. Does that make sense? And but yeah, and you're absolutely right, because I'm having we're just having fun. I get to tease her. She gets to tease me, joke around with all sorts of things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get you a Cybertruck, and I'm going to be dating again. I'm going to get my girlfriend or whoever it is a matching Cybertruck. So we'll see how that turns, just, joking around. But,
Yeah.
those are just fun things where we can have a lot of fun with it. So it's kind of interesting.
That's pretty awesome. What I want to tell you is don't judge the route in which the gift came.
Don't judge the rap. Oh, absolutely. Wow. That's a profound statement. That is awesome.
Yes.
Never heard that before. Yeah.
Yes. Don't judge
Definitely
it.
don't. And I'm like I said, it was tough, but I'm eternally grateful. It's a gift, and you just have to embrace it. And I'm embracing it. I'm loving it. I'll figure out this section of my brain that's firing like depression, and get that worked on. Then I'm going to go back and get my laser focus, and I'm excited for what the future has. So it's pretty cool.
I think you're starting to get into experiencing the relationship in a different way. Like right now, the way I see it is you're joking, and so you started as a little kid. That's your face right now. You're playing with her as a little kid.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when you go through the process and you get an understanding and she gets an understanding, you're gonna be able to interact as adults, but it's still kid like kids. So
Right.
it's gonna be beautiful, and I can only see how how genuinely happier you're going to become, because it's going to come from the space of your heart where it's loving and caring and understanding, but also that knows that the first person you need to take care of is yourself.
Absolutely. It's funny that you brought up a little kid, because she was over here yesterday and we give a hug goodbye. And I'm like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
giving you a hug, but I don't want you grabbing my butt, right? Don't grab my butt. So then when she gives me the hug, she grabs the butt. I'm like, stop, don't grab my butt. And when she does that, I push her hands down,
Yes.
like don't grab my butt, but I'm pushing it down. So, towards my butt. And she's like, you're such an idiot. And she slaps me on the butt. I mean, we're just having fun. But I'm like, you got to stop grabbing my butt
Yes.
when you come over here. Otherwise I can't let you in the house. It's, this is getting a little, so we just have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
I think you're falling in love in a more healthier way. And you're
Yeah.
gonna find that a lot of times we're unable to be husbands and wives, but we're better friends. And sometimes
Right.
the relationship is better. And if at any point in life you come back together, it's gonna be better because now you're gonna have the knowledge of giving the opportunity to get to know each other in a way that you didn't give yourself the opportunity before because you were too busy working.
Absolutely.
I think she
Absolutely.
wanted that so bad that she's happy that she's getting it in this way,
Yeah.
amazingly.
So it's yeah, no, absolutely. So it's cool.
Yeah, you have to live your process,
No,
and
absolutely.
she's definitely someone very important, and just enjoy how it's going. Like I said, don't judge the rap
Nope,
because it
absolutely
is a
not. I
gift.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. So I know I probably took you, I know oh, I definitely took us way over the time frame we had, but you gave me the opportunity to share. So I wanted to share because that's me. Now, if you've listened to the show, if you want to know who's Stormie, you pretty much know me pretty darn well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're welcome to come back anytime. We'll do
Okay.
a return, but you'll still keep your number 15 just for
Okay.
if people contact you, they can refer to what you talk about or what shirt you were wearing on the video.
Absolutely. I'll wear another funky shirt.
If they watch the video, if not, they can refer as the return or the original 15.
Absolutely. Coolness. That'll work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time and thank you for trusting us on sharing everything you did. I appreciate you. And I think now it's easier for people to come closer to you because
Yeah,
they can see it's not all about business. It's also about life.
absolutely. So cool. Well, it was awesome being here, and hopefully, I've given some nuggets, one way or the other, to a member of your audience.
You did. You definitely did. I appreciate you. And
You're
I am
welcome.
just happy to share it because I know you're going to get many likes, many views, but not because I care about the engagement. I care about people to get something out of the show. I want it to be valuable where we have something for them to get a hold of. I want us to have something to offer. This is why I invite you and why I invite other people that I think we can touch someone else's heart.
Well, cool. Well, it was awesome being here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let me stop